So today we're going to go ahead and install this Govee Underglow kit for the Skyline R32. And this I purchased off of Amazon. Obviously it comes with the 4 LED strips for the car, the wiring, etc. But I want to give a huge shout out to Cam's R32, or I should say Cameron. Huge shout out to Cameron. He helped me out a lot on how to install the Underglow kit on the car, how to run it through the car. He gave me a lot of useful tips and tricks. So I have my own idea of how I'm going to run the wiring through the car. I'm going to do it a little bit different. So this kit comes with the remote, zip ties, etc. But it does not come with a fuse tap, which I'm going to be needing for this kit. So I need to go ahead and purchase some. But by the time this video is up, I'll have everything. So you guys don't have to worry about that. I also got this, I guess you could say, glow kit or LED strips for the interior, so it lights up the interior of the vehicle. I have an idea of how I'm going to run these two, and hopefully it's pretty well. This one comes with the cigarette lighter option, which I will be chopping off, and I'm going to hardwire this one as well. I'm going to hardwire this one to the existing switch that I have for the Woke You Concept Skyline lights on the Skyline R32. It comes with this remote, and both of these are RGB, so they're like multicolored LED strips. But yeah, before we get started on this process, the first thing we need to do is disconnect the battery. That's like the main thing you have to do. You do not want to start on this until your battery is disconnected. Luckily, my car has been out of battery for about a week or two. I don't have to disconnect it. We're going to hardwire these LED strips to the inside of the car. I only got a couple hours to work on this throughout the week, so it might take me about a week to go ahead and install this and kind of do it my way, the way I want to do it. So I'm going to go ahead and get started and explain to you guys how I'm going to run these. Man, after the stripes were put on the Skyline, this thing looks insane, man. Just check this thing out. We're getting so close to finishing this thing. We just got a couple more things to do before it's actually done and ready to hit the streets. Obviously, there's going to be more changes in the near future, so just stay tuned for that. But with that being said, let me go ahead and show you guys how I'm going to try to run this. So the interior lights, I'm probably going to run 2 on the floorboard, 1 underneath the steering wheel, 1 underneath the passenger side, and the other 2 I'm going to run through the side pillars and onto the roof of the car, or stick them on right underneath this handle here, so that way it lights up the interior a bit more rather than having it underneath or behind the seat, I should say. So this will give me more light to the rear of the interior, and I have a feeling that's going to look a lot better than the lights being right behind the seats where you won't be able to see the lights. But with that being said, let's go ahead and show you how I'm going to go ahead and run the outside lights. So I will be ordering another Underglow kit for the Skyline R32 just to use 1 LED strip for this section right here underneath the bumper support, so it could light up the intercooler area. And the reason for me ordering another Underglow kit is so that the LED strip could match not only with the RGB colors that it will have, but to match the wiring, because some LED strips have 2 wires, some have 3, but I just want this whole intercooler area to light up and look nice and neat. So with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and order a separate kit just to use 1 LED strip. So just to let you guys know, so you guys aren't confused and say, why is there 5 light strips instead of 4? So yeah, just had to throw that out there. So I'm going to run it in here, tap into the rest of it, and continue the process. So I'm going to run the control box inside. From there, run the wire to the front, from the front to the other side. Now I'm going to run the wire from the firewall for the next light through the firewall, and then down through the wheel well, bring it down to the side. And instead of trying to run this one all the way back to the back, since it is connected through the wheel well, I'm going to go ahead and cut the wire, and then I'm going to extend the wire, make it come back up through here, go back in through the car, all the way in the car, run it through the whole car. There's a couple holes in the trunk, so I'm going to run the wire through the trunk and connect it to the back. First things first, I'm going to have to remove this trim, the whole trim in there, maybe this whole setup right here, the seat, maybe the harness bar, maybe the rear seat, and maybe this rear quarter panel. We're going to go ahead and see right now. I'm going to go ahead and get this all started. I'm going to go ahead and remove everything off camera, just try to hurry it up a little bit because I'm running out of time. So with that being said, I'm going to take it off and I'll be back in a bit. So this is all the stuff we're going to be using. We're going to be using these fuse taps. I got the one that came with different sizes just in case. I'll link this down below. I also got this, which I'll link down below. This one I had it already. You could get all of these off Amazon. I have a bunch of different connections. This is for the ground here for both the interior lights and the exterior lights. I got these connectors here. Of course, I got these shrink wraps here to shrink wrap the wiring. I also got another switch for the underglow, so I'm going to go ahead and remove this, probably move it to this side, install this here just as I did this one. So if you want to know how I did this, go on my old video, the WOQ concept video, and I show you how I did this. So I'm going to go ahead and remove this, install this one, probably paint the cap the same color as this, and get to it. I also got this wiring here. I got 200 feet of 20 gauge wiring. I'll link this down below as well. And I only got this to extend the side light on the other side all the way to the trunk because the wiring isn't long enough. So that's why I got this wiring, and just to extend a couple wires. I'll try to explain the process along as I go, show you guys how I'm doing everything, but I need to hurry up and install this, so I'll see you guys in a bit. It's kind of hard to see in here, but the skyline is a mess. I need to clear out this mess real quick. Got everything pretty much taken apart. Now I just got to run the underglow through the firewall and try to figure out where to put the box, and the guy that installed my alarm didn't put that box somewhere safe. But either way, so I'm gonna run the box, and then I'm gonna run the underglow, and then we're gonna go from there. So the underglow is finally installed. I'm sorry I didn't record much, it's just that I was in a hurry. So I'm gonna go ahead and show you guys how I set this whole thing up. All right, so let's start from the very front of the car and show you guys how I wired it. This whole thing is a mess right now. I need to put everything back together nice and neat. But we have the control box right here. I decided to mount it right here in the inside. It's kind of hard to focus. The way this is set up, we got a wire running through here. I'm gonna hook it up to the rest of these wires right here, zip tie it, make sure it's nice and neat. So we got that one running through the front. It runs through the side right here, down through the headlight area. And let me actually take off the bumper so you guys can see a little bit better. So it runs down in through here, and from here I spliced it. When I spliced it, I ended up connecting the top one, which goes, I don't know if you guys can see, it's hooked up right here, and then the other wire goes underneath the intercooler to that one there. I don't know if you guys can see it that well. Yep, it goes to that one right there. So basically the first line splits into two. One goes up there, the other one down there. From there, it runs back through here, which I still need a zip tie. I still need to go through and zip tie everything. It runs through this section right here, which I need a zip tie as well because I don't want this thing moving around and getting shaved. It runs in through the wheel well, which I will end up zip tying up there on that lip. It goes back down and it goes underneath the car, you guys can see. So now I ran the other one through the hole in the firewall. I ran the wire down through here and down there, right? For the power and ground, I ran it to the inside of the car and hooked it up to a fuse tap, which I'll show you guys right now. So this wire leads to the control box, this leads to this side of the car, and the other wire leads that way. So the wire that leads to this side of the car, I spliced it and connected two as well. So I ran two lights. So the first one goes through the firewall and down to the side of the car. The second one goes in through the car, through the interior. It runs along here, as you guys can see there. I extended the wiring as well, and I still need to zip tie all this. And it runs through the back inside of the car. From the inside of the car, you can see I extended the wiring, so I had to hook it up again. So I need to go ahead and tape that up. So it runs through here, through the trunk. I zip tied it to the wiring here behind this, and it goes down in through there. And I hooked it up to that lip on the gas tank, as you can see there. I did hook it up here at first. It's kind of hard to see, but above the gas tank on the actual body of the car. but it was too high up that it didn't light up correctly as it should, so I had to move it down to that section there. So that is how I ran the lights. So now let's talk about the power and ground. So the ground, I know it's kind of hard to see. So the ground wire, I ran it right here. There is a bolt right here, so I ran the ground there. Power, I ran and I added this connector right here, which will plug into a switch. Then I added this other connector to another piece of wiring, which is also going to be connected to the switch on the opposite side. So this part of the switch, the power of the switch, is going to run through here, runs to a add a fuse, which runs to the cigarette lighter portion, and I added a 15A fuse. That's the way it's going to wire. So pretty much those two red wires are going to run to a switch. The ground is connected to the ground, and that's pretty much it. So now I'm gonna go ahead and run the interior lights, put them where I need to put them. I'm gonna run the wiring, connect the wiring in a similar fashion. I'm probably just gonna tap into my other switch that leads to these lights right here on the corner. So I ended up testing out the lights and they work. I already ran the wiring. I tapped in to the power cable that leads directly to the lights here, and that goes connected to the switch. Then we got another power wire that goes connected. This one goes connected to the battery and not a fuse. I'll probably end up changing that in the near future. Here's where I tapped it. That goes directly to the box here. The ground goes to a grounding point right underneath the plastic here. So what I need to do now is go ahead and tighten everything up, zip tie everything, run all the wires correctly, and it should be good to go. So from the box, it goes two separate ways. It goes that way and this way. This way goes to here, which is going to be mounted under this piece once it's under the dash. From here, it runs through this panel right here, and it runs right there. And I hit it right under there, so you wouldn't really notice it that much, and it actually works pretty good. I ran the other one through the back of that stereo trim right there. And for the passenger side, I hooked it up underneath the glove box. From the glove box, it ran all the way up there to that side, and that's it. This controller box that I have here, I'm actually going to mount this on the side right here of the little panel. So with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and put everything back together. All right, so now that the LED strips are on the Skyline R32, I'm going to go ahead and show you guys exactly how I mounted them onto the car. All right, so here is a rear LED strip, and the way I put this one on is I cleaned it really good with acetone, followed by alcohol, rubbing alcohol, and then I finally stuck it on with the 3M double-sided tape that it comes with. I ran it through these straps right here and just made sure it was like really nice and clean, like super clean, and then just stuck it on there. So this ain't going nowhere, and if it does, this will hold it in place, I hope. Now for the sides, let me just flip this over here. All right, for the sides, I pretty much did the same process, cleaned it with acetone, alcohol, and stuck it on with 3M double-sided tape. And this side has this bracket here, as you can see. Oh, here it is. So it has this bracket here, and that originally came with the Skyline R32, and this was for the original side skirts, but I decided to keep it just so it could hold it in place. And this side has two, I believe. I lost one of them. The other side has a three. But still, if the tape fails, the 3M double-sided tape fails, this will hold it in place. Now, let me show you guys the front. Okay, so this is the front here. As you can see, there's two existing holes there, which I used a zip tie to zip tie that to there. And I also cleaned it really good and made sure it's stuck on well. So that really isn't going nowhere unless the zip ties really fail and the double-sided tape fails at the same time. And after that, I just ran it underneath this plate here, as you can see, and I zip tied it on the other side as well, just like that. The one that's underneath the bumper support, I can't really show you now because it's covered up by the bumper, but that one is just held in place by the double-sided tape. And of course, if it does fall, it's going to fall onto the bumper and not onto the floor. So now all of the LED strips are secure. They are not going anywhere, and I'm really happy with the outcome. So my first initial thought was to run this wire across the wheel well, but it turned out to be a bad idea due to the tires that were so big that would rub against the rear wheel well. So there's no way I'm gonna do that. So I have to run it in through that lip up there, drill a couple holes, zip tie it, and there's a hole on the fender on the inside towards the back of the fender. So I'm gonna have to run the wire through there, and I'll show you guys how I'm gonna do it on the other side. It's gonna be pretty much the same thing on the other side as it is on this side. So I'm just gonna have to splice this wire, run it through the hole, and then reconnect the wire, so that way it does not run in between the wheel well and it does not rub at all. So with that being said, let's get this started. So instead of running the passenger wire through the wheel well where it could get messed up, I ran it above the lip. Let's see if you guys could see. It's kind of hard to see because the fender's in the way, but those are the wires there. There's only one wire that goes to the LED strip, so it goes in through there with where the zip tie is, and it comes back out through that hole right there. As you can see, that those little lines right there, that's a protector for the wire, so that is the wire coming back out, and eventually it goes back down, zip tied here, zip tied there, so that way it doesn't run back into the tire. Then it goes underneath the fender and to the side of the car. So that is how I did this side here in order to get away from the wheel wells. A lot of people go in between the wheel wells or they go underneath the car, but I did not want to do that. So yeah. So instead of running the underglow wire for this side right here through the firewall and then down through the wheel well right here, what I ended up doing is running it through the inside of this and then out through here, down through here. I did have to splice the wire and then reconnect it here. It's already connected. I didn't record because I was just in a rush to get it done. You might be wondering, is the fender gonna pinch this wire right here? And the answer is no, because I'm gonna go ahead and cut a hole on the fender so that way the wire feeds through there and it doesn't get crushed. And I mean, you're not gonna see that anyways because the over fender is gonna be over that, and the fender's already cut either way, so it really doesn't matter. All right, so I cut this hole right here, so the wire is gonna feed in through here and stay here, that way it won't get crushed once the fender's on. So now the next step is put on the fenders. I already did the other side, so I put up the fenders and then zip tie everything I need to zip tie, and we should be good to go. So see, I ran the wire goes through the inside of the fender. I had to zip tie it here because it wasn't holding in place and it kept popping back out this way. The other side is completely fine, but I ran the wire down through there and to the underglow, so that's fixed now. Dude, this is insane. The car looks crazy with the underglow on. The crazy thing about this underglow is that you can definitely change the colors. This thing is wild. Wish you guys could see this thing in person. This thing looks crazy. Oh, you guys, this thing looks insane. But check it out, man. The intercooler section is lit up just how I wanted to, and everything is working amazing. Everything is how I wanted it. Now check this out. I hit the switch, boom, turns them off. Hit the switch back on, boom, turn them back on. And I can switch the colors on these two. These are the RGB version. So we got a lot of lights running in here. So the interior lights are on, and let me show you the best part. This thing lights up the whole interior. It's kind of, the glass is like super dirty right now, so you can't really tell. And it turns on with this skyline section here. This thing is ready to go. All right, so next step is just pretty much bolting the kit down. Also camber arms, for sure we need camber arms. The rear has a lot of camber. Let me go ahead and show you guys. Okay, you guys see the wheels? They're like super cambered out, so we need to go ahead and fix those, straighten those out. The lights are on. Thank you guys so much for watching. Once again, Ed Range, peace.